All right, good morning. Happy Monday, everyone. Wait for you all just flying good. It's about 40 minutes after the hour. Some of you will be joining here in just a few moments. Notification just went out. So hope you guys have had a good weekend. Thaw out a bit, all right? Get around town, get to back to whether you're shopping or heading to some of your favorite restaurants. You feel like you haven't been able to take care of that in a while. You've had cabin fever. Weekend really got us in a nice jump start, right, to get us to that point. Now we look to the changes ahead, which we're going to cover. And now we're going to get into that awkward split that happens as we evolve into February and March between SnowTALK and StormTALK. StormTALK may come into play here the next couple of weeks, but SnowTALK, I usually don't retire it completely until we get sometimes even early May before I have a chance to retire it. So it's not going anywhere, just FYI. But StormTALK, I do think we may show up. We'll cover all that. Good morning. You guys are commenting on the social media side. Appreciate that. It's been a cold morning, right? We had a lot of teens. I dropped to about 19 this morning at my house. I think the airport is officially 24. So no doubt has been a chilly, cold start today. All right, let's get into the current outlook for the snowboard itself. And well, one item. And it's not anytime soon. We got a long break here, guys, that we have a chance to kind of catch our breath before we get back into a little more of a wild and stormier pattern. The way the systems have all lined up in both branches, northern and the southern branch, there is this gap that is formed between the two ideas. So because of that gap, we get a nice stretch here of a few days of quiet weather before we get into a system back on track again every few days, that kind of narrative. So the pattern right now is it's resetting, it's churning right now and about to spit out a whole new weather pattern for us. But I do think as we head into February, especially around the 6th, 7th, somewhere in that range, just after that, I think that will be starting to get back into a setup we'll have to watch, not only for any systems that could contain snow themselves, as far as rain to snow or just snow in general, but also clippers will come back into the narrative, it looks like. But that's way down the road. Plenty of time to watch that. All right, so let's get into where we stand in the short term, and I'll walk you through how this is going to play out. First off, we've got that beautiful blue sky over us, and you get used to it. It's going to stick around for the day today. It's going to be a cool day, very similar to what we had yesterday, into the 40s. I think we'll be in a similar boat later on for this afternoon. Currently outside 28 in Louisville, 19 shade towards Salem. Already at 30 down into Hart County and at the freezing mark in Marion County at the moment. The airport there always seems to skyrocket, right? Jumping up those numbers. But we're going to be above freezing today, so another day where we're trying to get rid of the snow. This snowpack has been probably one of the most stubborn in a while. And I think it's likely because it contains still the sleet and freeze and rain component to it. So it's really not even snow anymore. It's just ice. But it's certainly areas that are shaded still have snowpack. I mean, I was out toward Mount Washington recently, and I mean, it was still a solid 2 inches on the ground in many areas there into Mount Washington. So we still got a snowpack in areas. So if you have a yard that's covered in snow, don't worry. Even though we're talking about the snow melt has happened, everything's back to normal. We get it. We know that there's some of you that still have it on the ground. But warmer days, some big time warming coming our way will certainly ease that. But those snow mounds in the parking lot, I was noticing that too. They're giant and barely melting. So they're going to be here for a while. So they're going to steal our parking spaces for just a bit longer. So we got to fight for a little bit longer to get that perfect one. So be careful parking. All right. We got the 20s out there now. Here's what the numbers have been in the past couple of weeks there. Again, the very beginning of this window was the 9th of January, where we're in the winter storm scenario. We tried to come out of that, got back cold again, got into our 50s for a couple of days. That was nice. And then we actually had the Arctic plunge, the coldest of the entire season, took place around the 20th and 21st for that holiday weekend there. And then we've been trying to ease out of it. So we're going to see these spikes even more, and certainly a good chance. We've yet to beat the 51. I think we will this week and get us perhaps to 60 the way this is trending. All right, so something to look forward to. I look forward to that. I like thaw periods. They're always nice to do it because they make you appreciate spring for sure. Right now from space, if you look carefully, we can still see that snowpack. The sun is just now able to light up the pack itself on the image here, but it's around. Not so much in Louisville Metro. It's showing up bright as it was, but certainly in Indiana and across northern Kentucky, it is still showing up. And that continues a little back into Missouri. This is the wave that we were tracking last week. We were like trying to figure out how far north would it travel, would it get sheared out, Would it stay south? The majority of it did stay south, but boy, it was close, wasn't it? I mean, it got right up to the Kentucky-Tennessee border before skipping off to the south there. It was a very stubborn piece of energy for sure, but it's a weak one, and going over areas that have likely still even some snow on the ground there into Georgia and the Carolinas. This rain is going to take care of that. Rain does a lot to get rid of a snowpack, more so than a sunny, warm day. Rain will erase it rapidly, and we just haven't had a decent rain event in a while, but that too is about to change. Meanwhile, speaking of rain, some good news. Look at Los Angeles, Southern California. They have cutoff low there, which will eventually be our system, by the way, that will arrive here late week. It's now in California, giving them some rainfall and even mountain snow. So this is good. I like this. I like that. It's a good setup there for them. And again, that's heading our way later this week. So let's get into the short term, and there's not a whole lot to cover. You see the freezing line over the area. We're going to get that above us today as we get back into the 40s. Tonight, there is going to be a little bit of a gradient. You see the line of clouds and a slant here across Illinois right into Kentucky. That is a front that is going to settle very close to us. I don't think it's going to push all the way through, but it'll be right up against wave country. And because of that, the pressure gradient in this zone is going to tighten up tonight while you're asleep. So you will notice the wind a little more tonight into early tomorrow morning. That will lead to some cold wind chills. So yeah, it's still going to be cold in the morning. You'll still need those bun warmers and that cup of coffee to get you through it. But no precipitation. All right, it's going to come through dry, but cold and at annoying wind later tonight. Is that front again just kind of teases, but it goes away. Once it does, we have a chance to really see the jump in numbers. The model here has got 45 on Thursday. Tuesday, we're going to be beating that number. And as we hit into Wednesday and into Thursday, the numbers keep going up. I think we'll get into the 50s. As I mentioned, I think some 60s are possible. But then you see the hint right there in the last frame. This is the far out that this model can see. And you can see back into those arcs, some rain developing. And this is Thursday, the wee hours of your Thursday morning pre-dawn. So as we evolve into Wednesday, what I'm about to show you on a wider scale is going to be the trend toward getting warmer weather into the area. And eventually that rain is likely going to take over as we evolve into the upcoming weekend. All right, a lot to cover on this. In the extended, we're going to go through how things are looking with that system as moves in. And the one right after it, I think certainly does deserve our attention. I'll show you that coming up as we're going to take just a quick small break here. We'll be back coming up in just 30 seconds. For those of you on streaming, you may see a break. Some of you will only just see this little slate. Hang tight. All right, see, that didn't last too long, did it? Told you just a few minutes there, a few seconds. Okay, so what about the long-term setup as we evolve into that system that rolls out of California and gets here? Well, timing on this, I do think is going to be some point as we head into the day on Thursday. You saw the hint of it in the pre-dawn hours Thursday morning. Clouds increase. I think we'll start to get some rain later into the afternoon hours. Can't rule out thunder, but in general, we are likely going to be on the warm front side of this, but on the safe side of that, to where you don't have to worry about ice taking place. We're going to be too warm for that. But a good soaking rainfall, especially for areas near I-64 and south. This zone here could easily get 1.5 inches of rain. This setup for Thursday into parts of Friday. Right now, I think, again, it's going to be a late Thursday we're looking at for arriving. Model's still varying a bit on its arrival time. We'll fine-tune that. But you get the idea, a slug of rain that's going to be moving in. Now, we need to watch that because the area rivers are still taking in some of the content from the snowmelt that has been happening. Again, you got snowmelt that's upstream. You can't just think about our snowmelt locally. You got to think about what's going on in Ohio and even Pennsylvania. As they begin to melt some snow there, that will then continue on. So the Ohio River, I do think, is going to rise with this slug of rain moving in, but even some of the streams in the Green River area, Rough River, they could easily climb as we head into this weekend. So just something to watch, and we'll monitor the rainfall potential. But if you are in those zones that typically do flood, there could be some issues with that as we evolve toward the end of the week. We'll watch that. Again, I'm not worried about severe weather with this. This looks to be just a slug of heavy rainfall. So if you've already washed your car, you're about ready to get more salt washed back on it. But that's all right. It's all right. You got to get it off of there, right? Now, once we get to the tail end of this, I know there's some data that hints like a rain to snow mix, the end of it as it leaves town. I'm not sold on that personally. Looking at the setup that I've seen like this before, it rarely happens. So I'm not too worried about anything going to snow at the end of this. It will no doubt be cooler. But that's what's unique about this weekend. And precipitation aside, we're going to drop as we head into Sunday. However, or Saturday, excuse me, as we head into late Saturday night into Sunday, we have a rapid turn of the wind that I'm noticing on most of the data trends that switches to the southwest, could gust to 30 to 40 miles per hour. I mean, fairly strong wind gusts, could go higher than that. And it's going to really warm the numbers up, as you're about to see as we head into Sunday. But it's like a one-day surge. And then another mainly dry front will cool us back down for the following week, about a week from today. But this is where comments came in a second ago. Was it Adam? I think it was Adam that said something about overrunning. And you're right, Adam. As we get into this period, the 4th of February through National Weather Person's Day, which is February 5th. As we get into that period, that's when I think we could get into an overrunning scenario where that colder weather that moves in a week from today could allow for at least a mix. But with us being quite warm the day before it, as you're about to see, right now I think any issues are going to be very limited. So I'm not concerned about that particular setup. So I did not put it on the snowboard because of that very reason. I think it's going to stay quiet. But this is going to be the biggest system, more than likely, of anything that we're tracking in the long term. And you only see hints of it. This particular framing of the model, I can't show you beyond this. This is where it stops. But this is where it is showing a much larger, you can already see the signs are there for a large cyclone, is what we call low pressures like this in the mid-latitudes. And this is going to be a big system. It's going to have a lot of warm air with it. It's going to have thunderstorms, severe weather. It will have snow, perhaps near blizzard-like conditions on the northern side of this that will be found with it. So it is going to be a very potent system. The signals on this one's fairly strong as we evolve through a week from today and that following week. So this is a pretty long time period here, but it will have a surge of warmth coming our way and likely some thunderstorms with that. I am considering the idea that it will likely be a SnowTALK scenario. But at the flip side, this is such a strong cyclone that it has a good chance to undercut the back end of the system and go to snow. Now, I'm going far out here in the data, but I'm looking at the pattern here. I'm not looking at really the model itself in specifics. The pattern supports a warm scenario, rain and thunderstorms, undercutting cold on the backside, and then you get into clippers that come in behind it. That, I think, will be the storyline for the after the 6th or 7th of February through about Valentine's Day. That should be the narrative. Before all that, nothing on the wintry side. It's going to be warm. All right, so what about the matrix? Well, let's take a gander at that. The matrix does have those hints, but look at the dates. It's all after the 6th. It's right on the back side of the system, and once we get into Clipper land. Until then, yeah, it is quiet and warm for a while there. So not bad. I mean, I think we can handle that. So let me look at the polar vortex aloft here. Again, you're looking straight down on the North Pole right here. Yep, there is still very cold air available to be turned around, but it's these cutoff lows that are forming in the Pacific that are shaking up that big ridge that we had over the winter that was so brutal, the core of the winter anyway. So now we're getting a pretty fast jet of systems that are rolling in from California like they are now in Los Angeles. We'll see more of that, but you got to keep in mind, there is still cold air that can be tapped into, so that's why I want to stress winter is far from over. I don't care what that rodent says on Sunday. Winter is far from over. Plenty of cold air that can attack the southeast corner of the country, but is no doubt going to be wilder, all right, as we've alluded to several times. All right, I won't ramble on that. Let's get into the 10-day. Here is where it stands as of today. 44 for your high, 51, lower 50s, nearing 60 on Friday, even with the rain. Quite windy with that big flip over the weekend. Again, going from the 40s quickly into 60 or higher for Groundhog Day. That wind, got to watch it though. That flip could be quite dramatic on that. And then we flip back down to colder weather, and then that leads us, the 10-day ends right when the storyline for the bigger system starts to enter the picture. Could we get into the 60s with that second system? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think maybe even on the upper end of that scale. So there you go. Any questions on this? Carrie, does the ice melting at the poles make the polar vortex less stable? It gets a little complex. It depends on where the ice melts, Larry, or Carrie, excuse me. The Bering Straits area, a little more at risk for melting there, can create the polar vortex to be displaced like it's been the past few weeks, and shifts around to different parts of the globe. So yes, in a sense, you're right. But again, it's not just the northern part that is melting. It's where it's melting that matters. So not to get too technical, but you're on the right track. Shorts weather. Yeah, there you go, Sean. Joel, has there ever been a recorded snow NATO? Where is Jedediah? Jedediah is our snow NATO expert here. I know he's watching. I'll wait for his comment. Yes, and there were some video clips of that. I want to say it was Cleveland during the lake effect snow this last October. There were some videos of one that was developing off of Lake Erie. More of a water spout scenario, but as far as technically documented as that, I'm not really sure on that. Not here for sure, obviously. Hey, Gene, how you doing? Snow is melting. Yeah, the diehard fans are really, we are. Most of the diehard bots fans, if you're new to this, bot stands for Bring On the Snow. A lot of us are tired because of what's been going on. Don't get me wrong, but we'll be just as perky again as soon as we get a winter storm that comes back into play, especially one that's all snow, no ice, and is gone within a day. I think snow lovers are really big fans of that stuff, and I am too, especially in the fall. It's the snow and ice, and then it sticks around with brutal cold. That's where I don't think anybody likes that. That's where it's tough. Okay, everyone seems to be in good shape. So there we go. We're going to be watching for, again, the timing of the rain on Thursday into Friday. That's our first challenge we got this week. The second one will be the wind speed for Groundhog Day. And then the third is going to be at the end of our extended, will be the larger cyclone that will start to roll in toward our area as we head into about the second week of February. Until then, guys, it is going to be quiet. Enjoy this. Inspect your homes, check your pipes, make sure everything's good. Walk around the house, check your roofs, take advantage of this quiet time to see how things have fared in that really cold setup of the snow and ice. Always a good idea to do that. All right, have a good day. I'll see you all coming up on the flip side.